I died, choking on my own blood, the metallic tang flooding my mouth as the knife twisted deeper into my gut, courtesy of the man who'd raised me, or so I thought. My father's face loomed over me in that abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of Richmond, Virginia, his eyes cold as steel, whispering, "You are always the weak link,
Leah."
And just like that, the world went black. My last breath a ragged gasp of betrayal that echoed into nothingness. But death wasn't the end. It was a goddamn reset button, slamming me back into my 28-year-old body on the morning of the gala that would unravel everything 3 years before the blade. I bolted upright in my queen-sized bed in the guest room of our sprawling colonial in Short Pump, the kind of McMansion suburbia that screamed old money and fresh hypocrisy. Sweat soaked my silk camisole, and my heart hammered like I'd just run the Boston Marathon. The date on my phone, October 15th, 2022, confirmed it. I was alive again, trapped in the before, with every scar from the after etched into my soul like a roadmap to revenge. The gala tonight. That's where it started last time. Dad's big speech. His public evisceration of me in front of Richmond's elite. Calling me a disappointment for dropping out of law school to chase pipe dreams in investigative journalism. The laughs. The pitying glances. The way Mom just sipped her champagne and looked away. It had been the spark that lit the fuse on my downfall. But this time, fuck that. I swung my legs over the bed, bare feet hitting the cool hardwood, and stared at my reflection in the vanity mirror. Same wavy auburn hair, same green eyes that hid too much fire, same faint freckles across my nose from summers at the Outer Banks. Leah Harper, 28, daughter of Senator Elias Harper, the golden boy of Virginia politics with his all-American grin and skeletons buried deeper than Arlington Cemetery. Last life. I dug too deep into those skeletons, his shady dealings with defense contractors, the bribes funneled through shell companies to fund his re-election. I'd thought I was exposing corruption for the greater good. Instead, he'd exposed me, leaked my instability to the press, gotten me blackballed from every newsroom in D.C., then lured me to that warehouse under the guise of a family reconciliation. The knife was just the punctuation. Not this round. I grabbed my laptop from the nightstand, fingers flying over the keys as I pulled up encrypted files I'd stashed in a hidden drive, memories from the future, digital ghosts of evidence I'd gathered before he silenced me. Bank transfers to offshore accounts. Emails between Dad and a shadowy figure called Ghost, a rogue ex-CIA operative who'd turned whistleblower on everyone but him. And the kicker. Proof that Dad had greenlit a Black Ops hit on a journalist who'd gotten too close years ago. A crime I'd wrongly taken the fall for as a kid. My teenage hacking prank twisted into federal charges that derailed my life. He'd buried it all. Made me the scapegoat to protect his climb. Deep betrayal?
Check.
Buried secrets? Double check. Downstairs. The house smelled like fresh coffee and bacon, Mom's ritual. Even on gala days. She was in the kitchen. Her blonde bob impeccable at 55. Flipping eggs in a cashmere sweater that cost more than my first car. "Morning. Sweetie," she said, not looking up. "Big night tonight. Your father's expecting you to shine."
Shine. Right.
Last time, I'd worn that emerald gown, smiled through his toast where he joked about my wanderlust being code for unemployment. The crowd, lobbyists, donors, a smattering of brass from the Pentagon, had chuckled like it was all in good fun. I'd excused myself to the bathroom, tears hot on my cheeks, and that's when the first anonymous tip hit my phone. Coordinates to a drop site with files on Dad's dealings. I'd chased it, blind and desperate, straight into his trap. This time, I poured myself a mug of black coffee, strong as regret.
Mom.
We need to talk about Dad. Her spatula paused midair. Leah.
Not now.
He's got that speech. He's a liar. I cut in, voice steady, but laced with the venom of 3 years hindsight. He's been lying to us for decades. Remember that journalist who died in '09? The car crash? It wasn't an accident. Her eyes widened, but she recovered quick. That practiced senator's wife poise kicking in. Honey, that's conspiracy nonsense. You sound like one of those QAnon types. I leaned in, lowering my voice. I have proof. Emails. Transfers. And he pinned it on me, made it look like I was the unstable one hacking systems as a teen. Check the attic. The old server box. You'll find the originals. She stared, fork trembling in her hand. Part of me ached, the mom who'd bandaged my knees and cheered at soccer games, but the rest?
Ice.
She'd chosen him every time, even when the whispers started about his affairs, his tempers. This was her wake-up call. Or it wasn't. Either way, I wasn't waiting. The gala was at the Jefferson Hotel. All crystal chandeliers and hushed power plays. I showed up in a tailored black pantsuit, Armani, borrowed from a future memory, hair pulled back severe. No makeup to soften the edges. Heads turned as I entered the ballroom. Dad's arm around some donor's wife. His laugh booming. Senator Elias Harper. 6 feet 2 inches of silver fox charisma. Ex-army vet turned political shark. He spotted me across the room, that paternal beam flashing like a weapon. Leah, there's my girl. Come here. Let em see the Harper fire. The crowd parted, murmurs rippling. I walked straight to him, chin up, and when he pulled me into a hug, I whispered, "Smile for the cameras. Dad. This is the last time you'll touch me without cuffs." His grip tightened a fraction, eyes flickering surprise, suspicion, but he played it off, raising his glass. To family, he toasted, and the room echoed it back.
Then,
the speech.
God.
It was word for word the same. Praises for Mom, nods to his military service, then the pivot to me. And my daughter Leah here, stubborn as a mule, just like her old man. Dropped law school for. What was it? Chasing stories? Well,
Kiddo.
in this town, stories chase you. Laughter swelled, polite but cutting, eyes on me like I was the punchline. Last time, I'd laughed it off, cheeks burning. This time, I stepped to the mic uninvited, voice slicing through the hum. Actually, Dad, the story that's chasing us is yours. Offshore accounts in the Caymans. Bribes from Lockheed Martin to bury that '09 hit on Paul Whitaker. You remember him, the journalist exposing your kickbacks.
Oh.
And the teen hacker you framed?
That was me.
Taking the fall so you could run for Senate. The room froze. Gasps. Clinking glasses halting midair. Dad's face drained of color. That all-American tan going sallow. Leah. What the hell? Save it, I snapped, pulling my phone, projecting the first damning email onto the AV screen behind us, his signature bold as brass. Ghost. Handle Whitaker quietly.
Elle.
Chaos erupted. Phones out. Flashes popping. Donors scattering like roaches. Security moved in. But I held my ground, heart pounding with the thrill of the unravel. Mom was in the back, hand over mouth, eyes locked on me, not with shame, but something raw, like awakening. Dad lunged, grabbing my arm hard enough to bruise. "You little bitch. You'll ruin us all." In his ear, low and lethal. "Ruin? You killed me."
Elias.
3 years from now. In a warehouse by the James River. Knife to the gut. But this is mercy. He released me like I'd burned him. Stumbling back as cops swarmed the exit, my anonymous tip to the FBI. Sent from the car en route. The night blurred into interrogations. Headlines screaming Harper Air exposes Senator Dad's dark secrets.
But mercy?
Bullshit. That was just the appetizer. The fallout hit like a Virginia nor'easter. Dad lawyered up overnight, spinning it as my mental break. Pills, stress, a cry for attention. The press ate it up at first, tabloids dubbing me Leah the Loon. Mom filed for separation quietly, retreating to our beach house in Corolla. But not before slipping me a USB from the attic, the originals, dated back to my high school days. "I always knew," she whispered at the door. But I was scared. First crack in the facade. I holed up in a no-tell motel off I-95. Laptop my lifeline. Piecing together the web. Ghost wasn't just a contact, he was Harlan Voss. Ex-SEAL turned private contractor. The muscle behind Dad's dirt. Last life. Voss had been the one with the knife. His gravelly voice apologizing as he plunged it in. Orders from the boss. "Kid." I'd begged. Flash my press badge like it mattered. But nah, loyalty to Elias Harper ran deeper than blood. This time, I went hunting. Tracked Voss through dark web forums, burner phones, a string of dive bars from Norfolk to DC. He was a ghost all right, tattooed fortress of a man, mid-40s, buzzcut and a perpetual squint from too many desert ops. I found him at a VFW hall in Chesapeake, nursing a bud and swapping war stories with vets. Slid into the stool next to him, ordered a whiskey neat. "You're Harlan Voss," I said, no preamble. He didn't flinch, just eyed me over his bottle. "And your trouble?" "Harper's girl. Saw the news. Daddy's in deep shit. Deeper than you know." I slid a photo across the bar, me, gutted in the warehouse. Time-stamped from my future phone cam I'd rigged as a Hail Mary. Fake? Maybe to him. But the details, the angle of the wound, the exact graffiti on the wall hit like a gut punch. His jaw tightened. "What is this? Your future. Unless you flip. Testify against Elias." The Whitaker hit. The bribes. The frame job on me as a kid. I was 16.
Harlan.
He sold me out to the feds to cover his ass. Voss drained his beer. Signals firing behind those eyes. XSLS don't scare easy. But regret? That's a different beast. "Kid. Your old man's got friends in high places. Brass that'd bury us both. Not if you bring the storm." I leaned in, dropping the bomb. Coordinates to a safe house in Quantico where Dad stashed hard drives, passcodes from my after-death hacks. "You in? Or do I walk and let the feds roll in blind?" He stared at the photo. Knuckles white. "One condition. You get me a sit-down with my old CO. Clean slate. Done. Lie or not. It bought me his word. And in this game, words were knives. We moved fast. Voss leaked the Quantico tip to his network, old SEAL buddies who'd chafed under Dad's contractor graft. I fed the FBI breadcrumbs, anonymous drops that painted Elias as the kingpin. Protests erupted outside his office, vets in camo chanting, "Traitor," while I dodged paparazzi, crashing on couches in Alexandria. Paranoia, my constant companion. Dad's calls went to voicemail. His voicemail's a descent from paternal pleas to outright threats. Come home.
Leah.
We can fix this.
Fix.
Like I was a leaky faucet. The controversial calls started piling up. First, a lying with Voss, a killer. Sure. But one who'd lost brothers to politicians like Dad who cut corners on gear. Was I no better? Using him? Sleepless nights chewed on that. Then, the hack. I breached Dad's campaign server. Not for glory, but to seed doubt, fabricated emails linking him to foreign donors. Just enough to flip allies. Illegal? Hell yes. Morally gray? Deeper shades. But in the mirror each morning, I saw the girl he'd broken, and the woman rising from ashes. Controversy be damned, survival's a bitch. Mom reached out via burner, hers now. Smart woman. He's unraveling.
Leah.
Drinking. Raging. Says you're possessed. A laugh escaped me.
Bitter.
Possessed? Close enough. Stay clear.
Mom.
This ends soon. It did. On a muggy July evening in 2023. A year into my rebirth. Dad. Indicted but out on bail. Through a victory barbecue at the Short Pump House. Desperate bid to rally the faithful. I got the invite via courier. Sealed with his wax seal like some feudal lord. Family reconciliation. It read. No games. Yeah.
Right.
I showed with Voss in tow. Posing as my security consultant. The backyard buzzed. String lights. Country crooners on the speakers. Donors mingling with their Botox smiles. Dad held court by the grill. Apron smeared with sauce. That grin forced wide. Leah.
And.
Friend. His eyes narrowed on Voss. Recognition flickering like a bad bulb. Harlan Voss, I said loudly. Drawing stares. You remember him. Dad? The guy who handled your quiet problems. Murmurs rippled. A donor choked on his rib. Dad's spatula clattered to the patio stones. What the fuck is this? This, I said, nodding to the sky as the thrum grew, low at first, then deafening, a black hawk slicing through the twilight, rotors chopping the air like Judgment Day. It banked hard over the tree-line, spotlight blazing, and touched down on the lawn with a whomp that shook the earth. Grass tore up in clumps, guests screaming, scrambling for cover. Out piled six figures in tactical gear. NVGs flipped up. M4S slung low but ready. Navy SEALs. Voss's old squad. Choppered in from Little Creek on a witness protection extraction. Eyed greased with faked threats. Voss stepped forward. Voice booming over the din. Elias Harper. You're under citizen's arrest pending federal warrant. For Whitaker.
For the bribes.
For the girl. He jerked his chin at me. Dad backed up. Face ashen. Tripping over a lawn chair. You traitorous bastard. The lead SEAL. A grizzled vet named Reyes, Voss's CO. And on the play, cuffed him efficient as breathing. Save it for the tribunal. Senator. We've got the drives. The confessions. And your daughter's testimony. Guests filmed it all. Phones aloft like torches at a witch hunt. Mom emerged from the house, wine glass in hand, watching as they frog-marched Dad to the chopper. Our eyes met, hers wet.
Min stale.
It's over, she mouthed. But Dad twisted in the grip.
Spitting at me.
You think this wins? You'll burn for this.
Leah.
All of it, the hacks, the lies. Twist, I said, stepping close enough for only him to hear. In the warehouse. You said I was the weak link.
But you?
You're the chain that snaps. The chopper's blades whipped faster, drowning his curses as they hauled him aboard. The bird lifted off, carving a scar in the sky, and the backyard fell silent save for the settling dust. Boss clapped my shoulder. You good?
Kid.
Good enough. I turned to the remnants, donors slinking away, Mom approaching tentative. Leah. Later. I cut her off. Soft but firm. We rebuild. Or we don't. Your call. As sirens wailed in the distance, feds closing the net, I walked inside. The house echoing empty. Revenge tasted like ashes. Sure. But freedom? That burned bright. The months after the chopper show blurred into a fever dream of depositions and death threats. Dad's trial dominated CNN. Pundits dissecting every angle like vultures on roadkill. Dynastic downfall, they called it. With me as the tragic anti-heroine, plucky daughter turned avenging angel. But up close, it was grind, safe houses in Bethesda, polygraphs that left me wrung out, lawyers grilling me on every premonition that magically uncovered evidence. The hacks? They pinned those on Boss's consulting firm, a convenient cover since he'd flipped harder than a politician at a scandal. Reyes and the SEALs? Brass hats. Testifying to the graft that cost lives in Afghanistan, gear shortages greenlit by Dad's cronies for fat checks. I testified first. October 2023. Federal courthouse in Richmond reeking of polished wood and stale fear. The gallery packed. Mom in the front row. Her pearls a shield. Journalists I'd once envied. Notebooks frantic, a smattering of vets with signs reading justice for Whitaker. Dad sat at the defense table, shackled subtle under his Tom Ford suit, staring daggers that could have etched glass. When I took the stand, voice steady under the fluorescence, I laid it bare. The frame job at 16 me. A gawky teen with a laptop and a grudge against bullies, stumbling into his encrypted files while borrowing his office PC for a school project. I'd found the Whitaker plans, naive enough to screenshot and email a tip to the Post anonymously. Dad intercepted, twisted it into intentional breach, fed the feds a narrative of my delinquency. Charges dropped only after he pulled strings. But the stain? It killed my scholarships, my dreams, left me clawing from community college rags. Your Honor, I said, locking eyes with the judge, a stern woman with a bun tighter than her rulings. He didn't just bury a crime. He buried me. And when I rose, he tried to finish the job. The courtroom sucked in breath. Dad's lawyer objected. Speculative. But the damage stuck. The cross-exam. They hammered the instability, my abrupt career shifts, the erratic gala rant. MS. Harper, isn't it true you've sought therapy for paranoia? The slick prick in pinstripes asked. I leaned into the mic. Smile sharp. Therapy?
Sure.
For the PTSD, from watching my father destroy lives, including mine. As for paranoia, turns out, when your dad's a sociopath, it's just pattern recognition. Laughter rippled, nervous, but real. Mom's hand flew to her mouth, somewhere in the back. Voss nodded. A ghost in civvies. Dad's turn came next. And, oh, he performed. The waterworks. The mea culpa's wrapped in greater good bullshit. I protected my family, he sobbed, dabbing with a monogrammed hanky. Leah's always been sensitive. This vendetta. It's her illness talking. Gasps again. But his bass ate it. Old money whispers of poor Elias, railroaded by his own. That's when the controversy cratered. Leaks hit the stands. My affair with Voss. Fabricated texts painting me as the seductress puppeteering a broken vet. Blogs lit up. Harper daughter's scandalous plot. And overnight, I was the villainess. A black widow in Lululemon. Protesters picketed my motel. Feminazi fraud. From the right. Class traitor. From the left. Sleepless. Scrolling hate at 3 a.m. I questioned it all. Was this payback worth the mob? The doxing? The bricks through windows? Mom called. Voice cracking. Come to Corolla. Hide. But hiding was death's echo. I doubled down. The twist dropped like a flashbang in December. Mid-trial recess. Prosecutors unveiled the crown jewel. Audio from Voss's wire. Dad confessing over cigars at his club. Whitaker had to go. Loose end from the 05 deals. Blamed the kid to tie it off clean. My gut. But wait. Deeper dig by the feds unearthed my deeper grave. Turns out, the warehouse hit wasn't just Dad's panic button. Voss, under orders, had hesitated, slipped me a vial of something to make it quick, but I fought. Scratched his face. Left DNA that last life got chalked up to unknown assailant. This time, it matched. And the kicker. Dad hadn't pulled the trigger alone. Mom knew. Not the details, but the whispers, the business trips, the hush money to her accounts. She'd signed the checks. Buried the guilt in Zoloft and Zinfandel. Betrayal squared. I confronted her in a Starbucks off the interstate. Rain lashing the windows like accusations. How long?
Mom.
She stirred her latte.
Eyes down.
Since before you were born.
Leah.
He was climbing.
And I
wanted the life. The house. The status. When you found the files at 16, I told him to handle it. Thought it'd be a warning.
Not.
This. I hissed. Voice breaking for the first time. He framed me. Killed me. Tears tracked her foundation. I didn't know about the warehouse.
Swear. But the rest.
God. Forgive me. No forgiveness in me then, just a hollow ache. Controversial decision numero 2. I cut her loose. No testimony against, but no shield either. Let the feds squeeze. Her plea deal came swift. Immunity for spilling on Dad's inner circle. I love you, she texted after.
Blocked.
Trial resumed January 24. Snow blanketing Richmond like a shroud. Voss took the stand, a mountain in khakis, recounting the ops. Whitaker's crash, staged with brake lines snipped in his DC garage. The bribes laundered through vet charities Dad supported. A cross-exam tried to paint him mercenary. You profited, Mr. Voss. But he fired back. Profited? I lost brothers to faulty vests your client approved for kickbacks. This ain't profit, it's penance. The jury deliberated 3 days. Tension coiling tighter than a tripwire. I paced the courthouse halls. Voss at my elbow, like a shadow. What if they acquit? I muttered. He snorted. Then we go rogue. Seal style. But they didn't. Guilty on all counts. Conspiracy, obstruction, manslaughter. 25 to life.
no parole.
Dad's send-off? A glare from the van as marshals loaded him. Middle finger subtle, but searing. You'll join me soon.
Leah.
The courtroom erupted. Cheers from the vets. Sobs from his holdouts. Mom slipped out quiet. A ghost herself. I stood there. Voss's hand on my shoulder. Feeling. Not victory. Vindication. Maybe. The weight lifted. But scars? Eternal. Outside. Flashbulbs blinded. Mics thrust like spears. MS. Harper. Any regrets? One shouted. Only that it took dying to wake up, I said, and walked into the snow. Reborn again. Life post-trial was a weird limbo, freedom with footnotes. Book deals poured in. But I turned him down. The story was mine. Not fodder for true crime pods. Instead, I chased real journalism. Freelance for The Intercept. Embedding with Afghan returnees exposing contractor scams.
Voss?
He got his clean slate, PTO job at a Virginia rec center. Coaching kids in self-defense. Reyes invited me to Little Creek for a debrief, which was code for beers and war stories. The SEALs treating me like one of their own after the op. You're tougher than half my platoon, Reyes grunted. Clinking bottles. But the ghosts lingered. Nightmares of the knife. Dad's whisper. And Mom, estranged, but thawing. A tentative lunch in Norfolk, April 24. Her looking smaller in a sundress. Therapy, she said, sliding a card across the booth. For both of us. I took it. Controversial? Forgiving the accomplice. But blood's a stubborn stain. The real twist hit that summer.
Father's Day weekend.
I'd bought a Craftsman in Carytown, cozy. Mine, filled with books and no Harper ghosts. Sat on the porch swing with iced tea. Scrolling X when the alert pinged. Breaking. Harlan Voss arrested in D.C. Tied to Harper ring. What the fuck? I bolted to the TV. Heart slamming. Voss. Cuffed outside a safe house. No comment. Charges. Accessory after the fact. New evidence from Dad's cell. Letters implicating Voss in more hits. Ones I'd never known. A double agent play? Or Dad's last venom? Smearing from Sing Sing? I drove to the field office. Badge for my embed days getting me in. The agent. A wiry guy named Torres. Looked grim. Harper's spinning tales from lockup. Says Voss was the architect. Not him.
And you?
Knew more than you let on. Bullshit. But doubt crept. Had Voss played me? The photo. The hesitation. What if it was all a long con? Confrontation at the detention center. Glass partition cold between us. Voss looked wrecked. Bruised eye. Jumpsuit swallowing his frame.
Leah.
Don't believe it. Then what? I pressed the receiver. Voice cracking. The letters. Fakes. Elias has reach. Even inside. He's got a mole brass from my old unit. Pissed I flipped. Proof? He slid a note under the glass. Coordinates to a burn bag in Anacostia. Dad's handwriting damning himself further. Burner phone in the lining.
Call it.
Last confession. Recorded blind. I did. That night. Rain-slick streets. The phone buzzed alive. Dad's voice. Slurred on hooch. Monologuing to a guard. Voss thinks he's clean?
Ha.
Tell the boys to pin the 08 embassy leak on him. Frame the bitch too. Leah's got the morals of a junkyard dog. Twist within a twist. Dad. Rotting but raging. Trying to drag us under. I forwarded it to Torres. Exoneration by dawn. Voss walked.
But the strain snapped something.
I'm out, he said over coffee post-release. Alaska. Fishing. You? Staying. But thanks for the knife you didn't twist all the way. He chuckled.
Gravelly.
Weak link?
Nah.
You're the blade. Fall 24 brought a fragile normalcy. Leaves turning crimson like old blood washed clean. I dove deeper into reporting, a series on vet suicides tied to denied benefits. Voss consulting off books from his Kenai Peninsula cabin. Mom and I, therapy Tuesdays via Zoom. Her in Corolla. Me in Richmond. Progress. She admitted the affairs. The pills. I unpacked the rage. The rebirth no one believed, but us. It was like waking from a coma. I told the shrink. A no-nonsense black woman named Dr. Ellis. But the world's still broken. Dad? He appealed. Of course. Endless motions.
Celebrity lawyers.
Rumors swirled of a pardon push if the admin flipped. Controversial decision 3. I went public with the rebirth. Not the woo-woo version, no past lives. Just a near-death epiphany from stress dreams that unlocked memories. Op-ed in Walpo. The Ghost in the Machine. How trauma reveals truth. Backlash was biblical, delusional debutante, but it shifted the narrative. Supporters emerged, survivors of family betrayals. Whistleblowers gaslit into silence. My inbox flooded with stories. A chorus of Me Too that armored me. The high-stakes twist brewed over winter. Snow dusting the James like forgotten sins. January 25. Anonymous tip to my secure line. Harper's gotta play. February 14th. Watch the skies. Valentine's? Dramatic fucker. I looped in Torres, who grumbled about conspiracy kooks but set surveillance. Voss flew down, grizzled in flannel, crashing my couch. If it's a breakout, we handle it. But it wasn't escape. It was exposure, Dad's final gambit. A leaked manifesto from his cell, timed for the appeals hearing. Blaming radical elements in the seals. Me as the radicalized daughter, brainwashed by Voss. Dr. Docs attached, my radical emails to foreign outlets. Voss's terror ties. The hearing, packed with press. Turned circus, judge banging gavel as Dad's proxy read the screed. My family destroyed by traitors within. Torres pulled me aside pre-session. It's thin. But if it sticks.
If.
The word hung like smoke. I testified again. This time with fire. This isn't defense. It's deflection. My father's the radical, a man who weaponized loyalty. Turned protectors into assassins. I dropped the bomb. The burn phone audio. Enhanced by feds. Dad's voice crystal. Plotting smears from bars. Gasps. Then silence. His lawyers sputtered. But the judge? Motion to dismiss appeal denied. Additional charges. Perjury. Attempted subornation. Dad's face on the feed, live stream from Max, crumbled. No tears this time. Just hollow defeat. As they cut the feed, something shifted in me. Not pity, never that, but closure. The man who'd mocked me at galas, framed me as a teen, killed me in shadows? He was human, frail under the empire. But choices? His alone. Post-hearing, the chopper callback came surreal. Reyes, calling from Coronado. Harper's done.
But the rot? Deeper.
Brass implicated. We're cleaning house, informal op. UN. Controversial? Embedding with SEALs on a shadow audit of Pentagon contracts. Illegal?
Borderline.
But the greater good, the one Dad perverted, called louder. I flew west. Salt air hitting like baptism. Weak sin. Combing manifests in a San Diego warren. We unearthed the web, Dad's network. A hydra of lobbyists and officers siphoning billions. Raids followed. Dawn hits on D.C. Condos. Arrests rippling like dominoes. The climax? Back east. May 25. A reunion gala at the Jefferson. Irony's knife.
Not Dad's.
But a victim's fund. Honoring Whitaker.
The vets.
I walked the same ballroom. Pantsuit swapped for a red sheath, blood-colored. Unapologetic. Mom on my arm.
Tentative smile.
Voss in the crowd. Nursing soda. Reyes toasting from afar. No speeches from me. Just quiet wins. A dance with Mom to an old Springsteen tune. Her whispering, "Proud of you, kiddo." As the night wound down, rotors thrummed outside, not invasion, but escort. My ride, a quick hop to D.C. For the indictment's presser. Seal bird courtesy of the cleanup crew. But the real landing? In my Carytown kitchen. June dawn. Coffee brewing as sunlight slanted gold. No more ghosts. Just Leah, reporter. Survivor.
Whole.
Dad wrote once. From Supermax. Forgive? I burned it. Ashes to the James. Forgiveness? Earned. Not owed. Twists end. Turns out. The rebirth wasn't magic, just adrenaline-fueled hyperthymesia. Trauma unlocking eidetic recall I'd suppressed.
Dr.
Ellis called it a gift. I called it grit. Either way, it saved me.
Us.
The chopper on the lawn? Legend now. Viral meme of accountability. And me? I mock no one but the mirrors that lied. Life's too short for weak links.